What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? How's everybody doing this evening? Let me go ahead and turn that down a little bit. Welcome to Hawks Hoops, your weekly live NBA show, Wednesdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. I have to remember to say Eastern now. It was funny. I posted my I'm going live video on TikTok earlier today, and a couple people commented, what area code? Area code. What time zone? That's not something I was expecting to have to answer. But then I remember the internet's a big place. Of course they're going to ask what time zone I am. I feel like I'm a little overblown here. Let me just go ahead and I like that a little better. There we go. Triple OG, hey, what's up? Saw the shorts and excited for the stream. Thank you for pulling up, man. I appreciate it. We got a lot to talk about on the docket tonight. Serge, it's me who asked so much. Love from Serbia. Wow, what's up? Thank you for pulling up to the stream. Like I said, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Going over All-Star reserves. Well, my prediction for the All-Star reserves. The actual All-Star reserves are announced tomorrow, Thursday night on TNT, if you weren't aware. I'll probably make some shorts reacting to that. Probably talk about it again in next week's live stream. But my name's Hawk if you're new. This is Hawks Hoops Live. Comes out every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Usually runs about 30 minutes to an hour. Cool thing about the show, you actually have the opportunity to call in. I'm going to open up the phone lines in a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in with our first topic. I want to just go ahead and get it out of the way. I got to talk about my All-Star reserves. I really do. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead, pull this up. Phone lines aren't necessarily open. And let me go ahead. You think Poole should have been a starter or reserve? Not contradicted. I think Poole should have been a starter over reserve, not contradicting D Book. Contracting. Oh, not contacting D Book. Are you saying that I thought Wiggins should have been a starter? We're going to talk about that in a second, because I just realized earlier today I haven't even discussed the current All-Star starters on the live yet. I talked about it on shorts, made some TikToks about it, but I don't think I actually talked about it fully on the live show. So, and I'm gonna let y'all know right now, I get hot. I got some lights going on in here. It'd be hot. I'm gonna let y'all know now, right? So out east, I'm gonna go over the starters real quick, just to get my thoughts on the starters, because I don't think I gave it on this platform. East, DeMar DeRozan, Trae Young, Kevin Durant, Giannis, Joel Embiid. I'm happy with these starters. I was low-key trying to get Zach LaVine to be a starter. I wanted the Bulls to have two starters, but I'm not mad at Trae Young making it as well. He's definitely deserving of the starting spot. He's been playing very, very well, especially over the last, I'd say, month or two. He started off a little slow, in my opinion, or at least slower than we expect him to start, but he's been playing great lately. Out west, Steph, John Morant, LeBron James, Andrew Wiggins, and Nikola Jokic. Now, my bad. I meant to say you think Poole should have been a starter over Wiggins. I hear about him more than Wiggins. I'm not mad at Andrew Wiggins starting. I don't think Jordan Poole should have got it over him. Mainly because I think I didn't see that pathway. Poole's the guard. The West still has a lot of good guards. Wiggins being in the front court category really helped him out because the West has a lot. The West just has a lot of injury. Anthony Davis being out. There was another person injured at the time. Like Draymond Green could have got it, but he was injured. Like, I just think with the West having some injuries, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, I just don't think some of the other Wiggins was in the forefront of a lot of people's minds. There's been arguments that a K-pop superstar apparently is really a big fan of Andrew Wiggins, and there's a speculate. He put out a tweet saying, "Let's get Andrew Wiggins to be an all-star." If you're not familiar with K-pop, it's probably the biggest thing on the planet right now, low key. So a lot of people are saying the K-pop fans are what's got Andrew Wiggins into the starting lineup, because when you look at it, he didn't get a lot of player votes or media votes, but he won off the fan vote because the fan votes 50% of the voting. I'm not mad at him getting a starter spot. I wanted him to make an all-star team. I just feel like, and I've talked about Wiggins before, I'm really liking what I'm seeing for him. When you look at his numbers, they're a little bit better than they have been at previous parts of his career, but it's not like he's having a crazy improved season number-wise. But when you watch him play, he just looks a little more poised on the court. He's contributing to winning basketball. I think the fact that he is finally on a team where he's not the number one. Yeah, I know he was on the Warriors last year, but I feel like he's got a chance to really get used to this culture, get used to the Warriors system, and he looks good out there. So I'm not mad at him starting. I figured he would make the team regardless. But considering the other options in the front court, I'm not necessarily mad at him starting. And starters don't necessarily matter as much in the All-Star game, because we've seen there have been starters in the past who've only played a handful of minutes. It all depends on how the game's flowing. It depends how the coach, runs the lineup. So I can see him starting, but he won't get a ton of minutes. A lot of the guys coming off the bench on the West will get more minutes than he will. Is it Serge? Serge? I'm gonna go with Serge. If I mispronounced, I do apologize. Serge mentioned Paul George. Fun fact: Paul George is one of my favorite players in the NBA right now, and if he wasn't injured, he would have definitely been that. He would have been in that starter spot if he wasn't injured. However, from what is looking from reports, we don't even know if Paul George is actually even going to come back this season, to be completely honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't return. And if he doesn't return, we're probably also not going to see Kawhi Leonard. So depending on how well the Clippers are in the standings when it comes time for those guys to be healthy again, will determine if we see Paul George come back this season. All right. So like I said, I wanted to give my all-star reserves. So let's get into it. Just for a refresh, the current East starters are DeMar DeRozan, Trae Young, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. The all-star reserves, the way it breaks down, it's 2 guards, 2 forwards, 2 wild card spots. So that's a total of 7 spots, making it 12-man roster. At the first guard spot, I have Zach LaVine from the Chicago Bulls. Really, really liking what I'm seeing from him this season. Like I've said it before, I wanted Zach LaVine to be a starter, so of course he's going to make my reserves. The second guard off my reserves, James Harden. I've been heavy on I don't want to say hating on James Harden. I've been holding James Harden to his standard of play. That's what I'll say I've been doing. I haven't been hating on James Harden. I've never considered myself a James Harden hater. I have tons of respect for his game and talent. I think he is legitimately one of the elite guards in this league. But I think he's been a little inconsistent and hasn't been playing up to his level of play. However, even with that inconsistency, he's still one of the best offensive guards in the league. So, of course, he's one of my first reserves off the bench. My first forward spot is Chris Middleton. Triple OG, Jonte Murray's, in my opinion, for a reserve. That's a good pick. We're going to get to the Western Conference in a second. Chris Middleton is my first forward off the bench. He's been playing really well the last month and a half, 2 months. His numbers really aren't that crazy, but he's been playing better. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. He makes the team for me. Next, Jared Allen. Y'all, if you would have asked me in the beginning of the season if I thought the Cavaliers were going to be nearly, half as good as they are right now, I would have said no. I thought they would have been half as good as they are now. And a lot of that has to do with Jared Allen and Darius Garland. Jared Allen makes my second forward front court spot. And then also off the bench, I have Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy was a funny one because Jimmy, I went back and forth with this for a while. He's only played 32 out of 51 available games this season. But when he's on the court and before his injury, he was definitely playing at an all-star level. And since he's returned from his injury, he's still at an all-star level. If he didn't get injured, there could be an argument for Jimmy making the starter spot. I don't think he would have made it, but there was an argument for it. So I got to have Jimmy Butler coming off the bench. My first wild card spot is Darius Garland. Yes, that means the Cavaliers have two All-Stars in my book. But I think they're that good. Yeah, I think the Cavaliers are good enough to get two All-Stars because of how their team is constructed. A lot of their offense is from Darius Garland, and a lot of their defense is from Jared Allen. Yes, they are just a solid team all around. Evan Mobley's been playing great for them. Kevin Love's been having a really solid season. Overall, they are a good team. But Darius Garland's playing amazing. There's no more to say about it other than Darius Garland's playing amazing. So he's got to be my wild card spot. And then my last wild card spot, also a guard, Fred VanVleet. Freddie, listen, man. I'll understand. If you haven't been watching Toronto games, I get it. First off, I'm just going to start off with that. I get it. Watching a Toronto game feels like watching the bubble, especially if they're at home. There's no fans right now in Canada. They got a lot of more restrictive COVID rules, lockdown, all that. But Fred VanVleet is playing his best season ever. Across the board, he's putting up career highs in basically every statistic. Points, assists, shooting. He's having a really, really good season, and I want to reward him for that. In my opinion, Fred VanVleet should be an all-star. Now, interesting thing about the Eastern Conference this season, with Kevin Durant's injury, Serge, my man, you read my mind. He says, who do you think will replace KD if he doesn't play? So I don't think KD will play at all. So that means for me, that reserve is going to be Jason Tatum. Now, who replaces him in the starting lineup, I don't necessarily, I don't know / nor care, to be completely honest with you. But in terms of just who's going to be on the team to replace Kevin Durant, I would have Jason Tatum in there. The Celtics aren't really playing that well as a whole. And you honestly probably could have a coin flip between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Only reason I went with Jason Tatum over Jaylen Brown is because technically Kevin Durant is a front court player, and I was looking for a front court player to replace him with. You can make some movement, you can move some things around, and then you can add Jaylen Brown in there instead. But I wanted Jason Tatum to be my injury reserve for Kevin Durant. Serge asked, I thought the Cavs would be closer to the Pistons than the first seed. Exactly, man. That's exactly what I'm talking about earlier. I didn't think the Cavs would be as good as they are this year. Triple OG, Jeremy Grant. I don't know much about how he's doing, but I feel maybe he could make it. Jeremy Grant's an interesting one. I think there's a possibility for him to make it, but I want to say as of this moment right now, let me look it up before I'm lying. I want to say he's still injured. As of right now, from what I can see, he's still out. Okay, so he might have played the other day. Jeremy Grant back after missing 24 games. Okay, so I missed his first game back. He played yesterday, from what I can tell. I didn't get a chance to watch that game, so I did miss that news. The fact that he missed 24 games, he could make an All-Star. He could make the All-Star reserve. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. He's not on my list personally, but I wouldn't be mad if he was on your list, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was on other people's lists. I don't think he'll make the actual real team, though, being honest with you. It's Eric Fusion asks, do you think the Mavs will make a deep playoff run? Deep run? Maybe. I don't think so. Do I think so I'll put it to perspective this way. If the NBA playoffs were to start today, and we'll get back to the All-Star reserves in a second. I just want to answer his question, excuse me. If the NBA playoffs were to start today, the Mavericks are 5th in the West. The Nuggets are 6th in the West. I think the Mavericks could beat the Nuggets, but I also could see the Nuggets beating the Mavericks. So I can see the Mavericks making it to the second round of the playoffs, but then past that, I don't think they're better than the Suns, Warriors, or Grizzlies. Nor do I think they're better than the healthy Jazz. So I don't see them going past the second round, but they could get to the second round depending on who they match up with. Depending on who they match up with in that first round. All right. Out west, just to jog your memories, the Western Conference All-Star starters are Steph, Ja Morant, LeBron James, Andrew Wiggins, and Nikola Jokic. My Western Conference reserves. First off the bench at guard, Luka Doncic. We just finished talking about the Mavs. They're 5th in the West. And I'm actually liking what I'm seeing from Luka lately. I would consider myself not necessarily a Luka fan. I respect his game. I think he's a great player on the offensive side of the ball. But for a while, like, I always just wanted a little bit more from him defensively. And I feel like I'm starting to see that these last couple of weeks. Is he playing amazing lockdown, locking up defenders, and are his defensive numbers amazing? No. However, the effort is there. I see him fighting a little bit more through on screens, making a more concerned effort to stay with his man. I can just see the energy and hustle there. Part of that can be attributed to the fact that he might actually be in shape now. He came into the season a lot of it out of shape, and I think that really hindered his ability to play defense and even some of his offense, for being honest. So Luka's the first guard I have off the bench. Next up, of course, we gotta have Devin Booker. Honestly, gotta have Devin Booker. Is there anything else to say? The Suns playing amazing basketball. The number one record in the NBA, 41-9. Excuse me. They're on an 11-game win streak. They're on fire right now. So Devin Booker is playing amazing, and I feel like for the first time, Devin Booker, like last season, I feel like it was Chris Paul who was leading this team, and Devin Booker was still just doing what he does, right? Now I feel like Devin Booker is also a leader of this team, so he's one of my reserves. Blueberry, what's up? How you doing, man? Thank you for pulling up to the stream. We are going over I'm sharing my All-Star Reserve predictions. Part of it is a prediction, part of it is just who I would like to see. I went over my Eastern reserves. Now we're doing the Western reserves. So far, I've said Luka and Devin Booker. Triple OG said Porzingis is definitely a reserve. I'll be honest with you, Triple OG, I don't see Porzingis being a reserve, mainly because I don't see the Mavericks are getting two All-Star spots. And Luka is the better player out of the two, in my opinion, so it's got to go to Luka, in my opinion, at least. My first front court spot off the bench, I got Rudy Gobert. To me, Rudy's just as, like, Donovan Mitchell is the most important player to the Utah Jazz offense, and they have an elite offense. Rudy Gobert is the exact same way on defense. He's the most important player to their defense, and they have an elite defense. Defensive Player of the Year candidate, Porzingis, a reserve for the reserves. I mean, Porzingis is like an honorable mention. Blueberry just said that for those listening. Porzingis is definitely an honorable mention in my opinion, but he just doesn't make the team all the way. The next forward spot I have, I got to give it to Draymond Green. I went back and forth for this for a little bit. His numbers, like I said, if you just a box score watcher, you're not gonna get why Draymond Green's an all-star. His numbers aren't crazy at all, but his impact is there. The Warriors don't even look the same without him. He's been out for the last couple weeks, and the shots are feeling a little off for Stephen Clay. You can just tell they want him back. They're not losing a ton of games, but they don't look like themselves, and you can just tell they're missing Draymond Green's impact on both sides of the court. Defensively, he's one of the best defenders in the league, and offensively, he's legitimately one of the best playmakers in the league. In terms of running an offense, making the right passes, communicating with his teammates, he's the most important playmaker on that Warriors team, in my opinion. And my third and last front court reserve spot is Karl-Anthony Towns. My Western Conference reserves are full of centers. Karl-Anthony Towns, one of the most offensively talented centers in the league. After Jokic and Embiid, the next most offensively talented center, and honestly probably the third best center in the league, is between Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. Karl-Anthony Towns is having a really solid season. I'm actually really, if you don't watch a lot of Timberwolves games, I suggest to tune in to one every now and then when you get an opportunity. If they're playing your favorite team, try to catch that game if you can. They're not on a ton of nationally televised games, but there's League Pass. There's other ways around it. If you know, you feel me? But Karl-Anthony Towns' offense is special, and he's definitely one of my reserves. My first wild card off the bench, I got to go with Chris Paul. I got to. I just sat here and told y'all how great the Phoenix Suns are doing, and a lot of that has to do with Chris Paul. He wasn't a starter because I don't think he's playing at that level. He's not playing in his prime still, but he's still leading the league in assists. He's still putting up, I want to say right now, last I checked, like 18, somewhere between 16 and 18 points a game, 10.3 assists. He's the point guard, in my opinion. And then my last wild card spot for the Western Conference is Donovan Mitchell. Just like I just praised Rudy Gobert, all the great things I said about his defense, you can say the same things about Donovan Mitchell's offense. Now, right now, Donovan Mitchell's in concussion protocol still. Rudy Gobert is technically still injured, so if they do replace him, I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. I don't know off the top of my head what their timeline is for return. I still want them to get the nod so at least they can have the all-star selection on their resume, but they might get replaced when it gets closer to the all-star game. Serge said I was waiting for Chris Paul. There you go. Exactly. So ain't no way I was going to make an all-star reserves list and not have Chris Paul on it. All right. So Triple OG makes a great point. He says LaMelo Ball's got to make the team. I'm not going to hold you. I don't see LaMelo Ball making the all-star team this year. I think he's having a really solid season. I think he's taken another leap as he continues to grow in the NBA. I think the Hornets have a chance to make the playoffs this year, but I just don't see how he makes the All-Star game. I think the Eastern Conference is extremely competitive this year. We're going to actually talk about the competitive nature of the Eastern Conference in a little bit. I just don't see how he makes. I just don't see how he makes a team. There's going to be a lot of snubs in the Eastern Conference. LaMelo Ball could potentially be a stub because if you add LaMelo Ball, you're probably going to take out either Fred VanVleet or Darius Garland. So the Eastern Conference is tough. I personally, like I said, Serge said the same thing I just was about to say. I'd rather have Fred VanVleet than LaMelo Ball, but I completely understand if you have LaMelo in there for instead. All right, if you are new to the show, what makes Hawks Hoops Live such a, I'll say, unique experience, we have the opportunity to call in, join the conversation, talk to me directly. So I'm gonna put the phone number on screen. Feel free to call in. If you want to call in and honestly talk about something that I didn't discuss right now, I'm open to that as well. But I'm gonna go ahead, hit this button, open up the phone lines. 609-365-0382. Once again, 609-365-0382. All right, let me make sure that is actually open before I lie to y'all. Yeah, it should work. I had some trouble with it last week, but we should be straight this week. All right, I got a couple of quick hits. I want to talk about moving on from the All-Star reserves. Like I said, the phone lines are open, so if you want to call in and share your reserves, you know, I'm open to talking about it. But I'm going to move on with the show, with my notes. I just want to really quickly talk about, hey, Pope's in the chat. How you doing? Derek Pope, my man. Melo's better than Van Fleet. I'm actually surprised you said that because I feel like you're a Van Fleet fan. I thought you were a Freddie fan. But LaMelo's having a good season as well, though. Like I said, I can't be mad at it. I wanted to just not. Triple OG says, what about Jonte Murray? May not be as good as Chris Paul or Book, but I feel he may be a good wild card. You're not wrong. DeJounte Murray is having a really good season. However, I don't think there's a spot for him. Just being frank. The Spurs aren't necessarily winning enough games, honestly, to really get in the conversation. Because you got to think, I left off DeJounte Murray. I left off Brandon Ingram. Nobody from the Trailblazers was on my list. I left off Anthony Davis. I left off a lot of people. If we're being real, I did. Honestly, I left off some people, but I just don't see how DeJounte Murray makes the list. He's having a good season, but I just don't see how he makes the list. All right. So news came out that Joe Ingles tore his ACL. I didn't actually see the game where he tore it, or I missed the day he tore it. I saw this a couple days later that the news had broke that he tore it and he was going to have to go undergo surgery. And it sucks. I'm not going to dwell on this long. I'm just I like Joe Ingles' game. I think I'm kind of a fan of his. I've listened to him on various podcasts from people I listen to. I'm a fan of his. So to hear that he's out with the ACL injury is it just sucks. Like, I don't want to say it's sad, but it really does suck for him, for the Utah Jazz organization, because you got to think. ACL injury, he's 34 years old. He's on an expiring contract. We might, honestly, I'm not trying to gas it, but we might not see Joe Ingles in the NBA, like, again, after this. It stinks, but that's just the NBA, unfortunately. All right. So if you're new to the show, I'm a Sixers fan. And right now, I'm loving being a Sixers fan because of the way our team is playing, the way Joel Embiid is playing at an MVP caliber level. However, the Sixers have a 6'10" size elephant in the room that we have talked, that the news pops up all the time. So if you're not aware, Bradley Beal recently, news came out via The Athletic that Bradley Beal is interested in being traded from the Washington Wizards. And of course, that instantly brought up tons of conversations of, oh, Bradley Beal for Ben Simmons. Can the Sixers make a trade for Bradley Beal to try to add to this Sixers team to help Joel Embiid potentially be title contenders and have a legitimate shot at winning the championship? How can I put this? And I've seen a lot of people say the Sixers should make this trade. Just like we saw a lot of people say the Sixers should try to trade for James Harden, even though James Harden is not necessarily available to the offseason. I'm going to tell y'all right now, Sixers, don't trade for Bradley Beal during this season. Don't do it. Don't do it. Bradley Beal is, like I said, on an expiring contract. He's a player option for next season. You run the risk of having another Jimmy Butler situation if you trade for Bradley Beal this late in the season, mid-season. And what I mean by that is the Sixers traded for Jimmy Butler early in the season from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Had a really good year with him. He looked really good. And then he left. He went to Miami. He didn't re-sign with the Sixers. They lost all those trade assets they gave up for him. And I think they run that risk if they trade for Bradley Beal mid-season. Now, if they do a sign and trade in the off-season, I wouldn't be mad at it. Personally, I would prefer to make a trade during the regular season. But from every report, I would prefer that the Sixers make a trade, I should say, during the regular season to try to help Joel Embiid make a legitimate title run. I love the Sixers team. I think Joel Embiid's playing at an MVP level, but I've said it once and I said it before. I don't think the 76ers are true title contenders as the team is currently built. I think they have a Ben Simmons size hole from being title contenders. I just don't think they're title contenders without either him rejoining and playing well or actually making a smart trade for him before the trade deadline. And I don't think trading for Bradley Beal before the trade deadline is a smart decision. One, Bradley Beal has I know he's injured right now. I don't know what the injury is off the top of my head. I want to say it's just a sprained wrist. Yeah, due to a ligament injury on his left wrist. He's going to be out about a week. They're just calling it a ligament injury on his left wrist, according to the ESPN article written yesterday. So, do the Sixers trade for him? Do you guys think the Sixers should trade for him? Personally, I don't. I just think it's a big risk. I think it's a big risk for almost any team that's going to trade for him that actually has title contending aspirations, because it all just depends on what you have to give up for him. Because if you have to give up a lot for him and then he doesn't come back, he doesn't resign, you're going to feel like you wasted it. Your fans are going to be mad. Your team's going to be frustrated. I just don't see the Philadelphia 76ers trading for Bradley Beal. I don't think it's wise. I really don't. And while we're on the subject of the 76ers, I'm not going to talk about this part long. Ramona Shelburne put out, if you don't know who Ramona Shelburne is, she's a ESPN writer, I'll say. ESPN writer and analyst. She put out an article talking about just like an update on the whole Ben Simmons situation. It's on ESPN Plus. I don't have a subscription. So I listened to the Woj pod. Adrian Wojnarowski, he interviewed her talking about that. article, and it was some interesting stuff, but nothing more than we haven't already heard. The shocking part to me is the fact that I think at this point it's obvious Ben Simmons really doesn't want to play for the 76ers. They fined him $19 million so far. And I mean, yes, he is a multimillionaire, but $19 million is egregious. Like $19 million is a lot of money to lose, to not have that you could have been paid this season if you decided to play. I don't think it's clear to me that he doesn't want to come back. People always have the famous phrase is, put your money where your mouth is. And $19 million is a lot of money to put where your mouth is. He's saying he doesn't want to play, and he's letting his money speak for it by not playing and losing money. That's the same thing as putting your money where your mouth is, by willingly losing it. And from a Sixers fan standpoint, I don't think the city of Philadelphia wants him back at this point. I think there was a moment in there where he could have came back, and I think some of the fans still would have been jaded, but I think the majority of the fans would have welcomed him back with open arms per se if he came back and played well. That was earlier in the regular season when there was news came out that he flew in from LA back to Philly and he was at practices. But then you find out he wasn't really doing much of that practice. He gets kicked out of practice because he wasn't really participating. And then I think that was the point where Philly was like, yeah, we're done with you, bro. Triple OG asks, how do you feel about Tobias Harris in general? That's a loaded question, Triple OG. In general, I'm happy. I'll be honest, right? If you ask me on a bad day, I'll tell you Tobias Harris is horrible, and I hate that he's on this team. If you ask me on a bad day, if you ask me on a good day, I'll say Tobias Harris is solid. I like him. He's just overpaid, and if Tobias Harris's contract wasn't what it was, I don't think Philadelphia fans as a whole would be as angry with him. We're not angry with him, but would hate on him as much as they do. If you follow anybody on Sixers Twitter, Philly Twitter, he gets a lot of hate. He gets a lot of slack if he doesn't play well for a game, or if he misses a lot of shots or doesn't take a lot of shots. I think if he was on a more acceptable contract, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. His contract's too big for the player that he is, but I understand why the Sixers gave him that contract, because Jimmy Butler just walked. They had made all these trades to acquire Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler, and there was no way they could have explained to the Philadelphia fan base how Jimmy Butler walked to a different team and Tobias Harris walked to a different team. So they had to give Tobias Harris that amount of money to ensure he stayed. So I get why they did it. It just sucks that they had to do it. That's my opinion on Tobias Harris. Serge says, whatever the 76ers get for Ben is a bonus because he will never play for them again. And I completely agree. That was been my mindset about it for a while. Whatever they get for Ben Simmons is going to be a bonus. And you saying that actually makes me want to clear up my Bradley Beal statement. The main reason I said we should not trade for Bradley Beal is not just because it's a trade for Ben Simmons. It's because from every trade I have seen, it's Ben Simmons and either Tyrese Maxey and the pick. Like there's other stuff in addition to just Ben Simmons and all the mock-ups I've seen for the Bradley Beal to Philly trade. And if it was just straight up Ben for Bradley, honestly, I might consider it, especially this season, if we could do it this, before the trade deadline, because like you said, Serge, it's just a bonus. We've been playing well without Ben Simmons all season. Adding Bradley Beal probably would only make us better. But because from every trade proposal I've seen, it includes either Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, probably also a pick. And in my opinion, I don't think that's necessary. PNX Gravy. Will Bobo end up being a franchise player for Boston Celtics? What's up, man? How you doing? Thank you for pulling up to the stream. PNX Gravy. What's your name on TikTok? Because I know who you are on TikTok, but it's not Gravy on TikTok. I'm trying to find you. Hold on, let me see. You just commented today. How far could this? Oh yeah, you do got the same name on TikTok and on YouTube. Look at you. No, Bobo will not be the franchise player for the Celtics. However, I will say I wish Bobo got opportunity to play somewhere. When news came out that the the Detroit Pistons had traded for him initially, I was hyped because I thought that could have been a great trade for him. I thought that could have been a great trade for his career, like him specifically. I didn't really care how it was going to affect Denver that much, but I thought Detroit would be a team that he had the opportunity to just grow, just get some minutes. They're not winning games anyway. They want to just see what young guys they have and continue to develop and grow young guys. I thought Bobo would have the opportunity to thrive there. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I do wish Bobo the best of luck, because when we do see him on the court, Gravy, you have a good point. When the few instances we see him on the court, we've seen special things happen. He can shoot the ball. He can finish in the paint. He's a 7-foot demigod on the low. A team just has to give him the opportunity to see if he can play at that, have a sustained level of play for that long. Like, continue to play at his highest level is what I mean. So Beal to the Sixers, I don't see it happening because of all the other pieces I keep seeing the Sixers would have to include. If it's just Ben for Beal, I'm not saying like whatever, why not? Because there's still the risk of Beal not re-signing. But I also feel like this is a season where, due to injuries, due to just how things feel right now, I don't think there's a clear winner as of right now. I don't think there's a clear favorite for the championship. I think out west you have teams like the Suns and the Warriors who look really, really, really good. But I think out east, due to Kevin Durant's injury, Kyrie being in and out of the lineup due to COVID, the Bucks are still missing Brook Lopez, and I think people are underrating how much they're going to miss him. I think the Heat are legitimate contenders as well to get out in front in the Eastern Conference. But I think if the Sixers made a couple of moves, they could also enter that conversation. That could be me also being a biased Sixers fan. Triple OG says, when will the next Yao Ming arrive in the league? I don't know if we'll have a next Yao Ming. I just think his height was very, very unique. Yao was what, 7'6"? I don't know if we're going to see that again in the league, to be honest with you. At least not at his level of dominance, because Yao legit had a couple of years of dominance in there. I think also when you get to those crazy heights, 7'5", 7'6", stuff like that, you're going to run into a lot more injuries, and that's kind of sort of what happened to Yao Ming. Serge didn't ask, off topic, what do you think is the best for Jokic with Jason tried to call in. Jason, let me know if you want me to call you back. I don't know why the phone's not working. I'm gonna have to do some I thought I fixed it this week. Clearly I didn't. But Jason, let me know. I can call you back if you want. I don't know why the phone line not working though, but I do see your missed call, but for some reason it ain't ringing. What's best for the Nuggets team? It sucks, but honestly, I don't think there's any quote unquote best move. I think the best move for for the Nuggets and Jokic is to just wait for your team to be healthy again. Like, I don't want to say it like I feel like we're wasting a great year that Jokic is playing, but the only reason this team's not higher in the standings is because two of their starters are injured. And low key, we could potentially see Jamal Murray back in like April, maybe early May if they're still in the playoffs that late in the season. But I mean, yeah, I don't honestly, I don't think there's a move they make that would make a drastic, that would make a drastic difference. I just think you just wait for your players to get healthy again. Rudy Gaze, the GOAT, says Halliburton got robbed for all-star starter. Not gonna lie. Nah, he ain't get robbed. He ain't get robbed. Tyrese Halliburton is having a really solid season. I think he's gonna be an MIP candidate, most improved player candidate, but I don't think he's gonna actually win the award. But I think he'll definitely be a candidate. Let me I'm gonna give Jason a call back. Let's see what happens here.
Thank you for calling In Your Lane Logistics.
Yep. He ain't answer. It's all right, Jay. All right. Rudy Gage, the GOAT, says he is the GOAT, though. Stop it. I don't know if you're saying Rudy's the GOAT because your name or you're responding to Jason. Oh, it went a ring now. Thank you for calling Hawks Hoops. What's up, Jason? How you doing, man?
What's going on with you, man?
I don't know what's going on with this. I gotta figure this out and get these phone lines acting right.
Hey, there we go, man. No problem, man. Bowl, man. Bowl, demigod. What's up with that, man?
Hey, listen, right? In moments, I'm not saying Bowl is going to be like a superstar in the NBA, but there are moments, flashes, if you will, when he looked real nice.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
And because the biggest thing about
I just have to cover to make that comment.
I feel you. We don't know. We don't know if he can do this over like a course of a season or even over a course of like 5 games in a row because they don't give him the opportunity. But I just want to see what he do. That's all. I just want to give him an opportunity to see what he can do. And I thought the Pistons would be a great opportunity because the Pistons is trash anyway. No one's watching Pistons games, so
yeah, you're right about that.
I just thought it'd be a good spot for him to slide in.
I mean, I'm just saying. I just want to put the whole demigod business. I was a little bit. I was about to throw up a little bit in my mouth when you said that. I'm like, come on, Hawk. What are we doing here? Now, so I'm just looking at the highlights. Came in here late. My boy Melo. You know, he needs to be on the All-Star game for sure. I
don't know if he's gonna make it. I think he's gonna get snubbed.
I don't think he will either. I think Mike needs to get the what you call off of him. They need to pull the reins off of that man and let that man go.
Let him be
him.
I mean,
they really trying with Rozier. But
yeah, they do run a lot of Rozier.
Next year you're gonna. Yeah, I mean he needs to get let go, man. I need him to be loose.
I feel that, especially because LaMelo's your future, so you might as well give him the reins, give him the keys to the team, and just go ahead and run with it. That's the future right there.
Okay, I'm a Bulls fan. I just like the way what Lamar did. I enjoy the fact of watching him come up. Through the Facebook stuff, looking at this young man and how he's basically making it look easy on the basketball court. I mean, he still has some parts of his game he has to work out, defensively, which I think is a lost art in the NBA. Which going back to your people, going back to your guy, Ben Simmons, if Ben Simmons would have done like what Lonzo Ball did, he wouldn't be having all these issues from Philly. If you knew how to just sit in there and take a daggone shot.
Yeah,
and do what you were supposed to do.
Yeah,
people wouldn't. People wouldn't have to be coming at your neck like that. But these players are soft. They don't have what it takes to sit down there. He's gonna come to LA. He thinks Philly fans are difficult. You go to any major market. I mean, I think his best bet is to take his ass out to Canada.
I mean,
they will love him. They'll love him out there.
Yeah, I think Ben Simmons is how he handled the Philly situation, and like you said, Philly not even the biggest market in the NBA. You go to New York, you go to LA; those are bigger markets. If he's going to act like he has acted with Philly, he's not built for a big market team. He's got to play for a small market. He's not built for a big market team.
No, absolutely not. He's soft.
Yeah,
most of these players are soft, but he's soft, man. I would have just at this stage of the game. Hell, I mean, if we got Kyrie playing games, he should have been in here.
Facts.
Playing some daggone games, man.
Facts.
He should have just, eat it up. You getting paid to sit on the bench. How's that helping your shot? How's that helping your confidence?
Exactly.
It helps nothing. Dude's a bum. I mean, Lonzo Ball's shot went from going out, God knows where, to now,
Lonzo's got one of the best jumpers in the league.
Shooting. Yeah, I mean, but he worked on it, is my point.
He put in the work.
And if Ben would have worked on it, instead of trying to be like the focal point, you're not the focal point. I mean, Joel Embiid, they're wasting years in Philly.
Yeah.
So they just need to get rid of Ben.
They gotta do something.
But the thing is that nobody's gonna pay for him, and I agree with him. You gotta kind of make it hard for these players, man, because I mean you're putting a lot of money out there, and that's a lot of money, to be sitting on the bench ain't doing nothing. So
yeah, I mean they playing a lot. They're finding him. They're doing what they can do as an organization. But Philly's also asking for a lot for him. You know, I think Philly's got to lower their asking price. They got to stop asking for all these draft picks and maybe just start asking for players straight up. Because teams aren't going to want to give up players and draft picks for Ben Simmons because they haven't seen him in years. You don't even know what he's going to look like when you do get him.
Well, you know, Philly trying to get man. They want that James Harden, man.
They do.
They figure that, you know, if they can pry James from New York, which they probably will. Because if I'm James Harden, I wouldn't want to play with Kyrie anymore. I can't play with somebody that, you know, are you on the team or you're not on the team? You know, you trying to be an activist, or I mean, what are we getting out of you, Kai? I don't know what we're getting out of you. You know what I'm saying? So, unfortunately, if that happens, you know, KD's gonna be the only one there left with that nonsense.
Facts. And but I mean, if they leave,
you know, that's sad. But
Brooklyn got some money to go try to get other people. This way.
I'm gonna switch real quick.
Mm-hmm.
What you think about my man Lance Stephenson's, man? They should just get that man the rest of the contract for the rest of the year, shouldn't they?
I think they should, honestly, because what else the Pacers doing? I mean, not the Pacers, but what else they doing?
I'm on top of the roof.
Exactly. He just popped up on my screen while I'm watching Memphis.
I'm a Lance fan,
but
so
I'm like, yeah.
I'm always down for some Lance love.
You daggone right. Except when he went with the LeBron James killer who kills everybody's career. What you think gonna happen with them Lakers? They making the playoffs or what?
Lakers will make the playoffs. If the Lakers, so the funny thing about the Lakers is, I was watching Anthony Davis's press conference after their loss the other night, and he basically said like, y'all got to remember we ain't really played together for real. Which I mean, you got to point to an extent. Their whole team hasn't played that many games together as like an entire unit. They're always missing at least one or two guys. I still don't think it's going to work on paper, like in terms of like how the fit is, especially with Russ. As much as I love Russ, I'm a huge Russ fan. He just don't fit on this team, in my opinion. But I'm not. I'll never be the one to just rule out a LeBron James team. That's you know what I mean. I just can't. I can't rule out a team that LeBron James is on. So anything could happen.
Are you one of them guys? Stop it. He ain't being them people over there. I mean,
I don't think they're going to win a chip. I don't think they're title contenders per se. However, I'm not. They're going to make the playoffs, and they could. I'm not going to rule out a team that has LeBron James on it. I'm just not.
Oh, you acting like you talking about Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or something.
I'm not. Listen, bro. I'm gonna put the record straight.
They are soft, man.
My GOAT is
Anthony
MJ.
Davis is soft.
My GOAT is MJ. I'm gonna put the record out there, set the record straight. But you can call me crazy. I'm just saying I'm not ruling out a team that has LeBron James on it.
All right, well, since you go on that topic, since you said that, I know this is your show, so I'm sorry for taking up too much of your
problem.
time.
I appreciate it.
Who's he beating in the West? Who's he beating in the West?
Who? All right.
Who? What seed? Who you talking about he going to go through to get to that chip? We got 3 rounds. Who he going through?
Anybody got a UAV?
So if the NBA was over right now, they would struggle. I'm not going to hold you. Because first off, they got to play in a play-in game because they're the 9 seed. If they win that play-in game, they play the Suns in the first round. Because of their size, I still have the Suns a favorite in that series, but I'm not saying they're running away with the series.
This joint jumped so much.
Because of their size.
Okay.
Then that would put them facing either the Jazz or Mavericks in the second round. They can beat either of those teams. I think they would struggle more against the Jazz because the Jazz is a way better defensive team. If they play the Mavericks, they could beat them. And now we're looking at the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, likely against the Golden State Warriors. I think the Warriors should be able to beat them in the finals, but you see how I just walked through. It won't be a walk in the park for the Lakers, but there is a path that gets them to at least the Western Conference Finals.
And you know who kills the path?
The Suns?
Russell Westbrook with his bad decisions. And Anthony Davis playing soft. Role players ain't doing enough. That's what kills the path. Now, there's too much young athletic people. I just don't see it. I think they made an older team. I don't think they're gonna, it's an old team, man. It's a
very
quick league.
Old team. Very, very old team.
I mean, nobody expected Golden State to be where they are, but they're playing really great ball right now. Memphis is looking good. Phoenix is, people sleeping on my guy from Phoenix, man. I mean, now that he's getting a lot more TV time, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was, real basketball hoopers that were watching him, Devin Booker. But,
for years, yeah, people were sleeping on him. They was calling him empty stats because he wasn't winning games. But if you was watching him, you knew it wasn't empty stats. You knew he was a hooper.
Right. The Suns are going. Ayton has something to prove because he needs to re-up his contract.
Yep.
They got some good. They got good pieces over there. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't think that the hunger and what these old guys have. And I'm sorry, man. I don't know if you can overcome Russ's 10 turnovers a game, and even LeBron. I mean, LeBron makes bad decisions that doesn't get talked about.
You brought up a good point with the hunger. Anthony Davis, I will agree, is no longer hungry. He said it before. They won the championship, so he ain't got nothing to prove no more. And he looks like he's not playing. Like he looks like he's not playing with something to prove. I will admit that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't see the generation like fighting like how they should. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna switch a little bit topic, and it's my last topic. I'm gonna get out of here.
No problem.
Because I saw you guys talking about Joker. Man, listen, Kevin Durant all day should have been the MVP. And it's sad that because he got injured, he won't be coming away with that MVP trophy. That man deserves it. For coming off of an Achilles and playing the way he plays.
Before his injury, as big as a Joel fan I am, he was my MVP before his injury. KD was my MVP because with especially the fact that he had the Nets and top 3 for most of the season. They were number 1 for a good portion of the season. With Harden playing poorly, Kyrie not even there. Kevin Durant was doing everything for that team.
So you were okay. Dang, man, keep keeping me on here. We're gonna have to try this another day. But you talking about Joel Embiid? You a big Joel Embiid fan? What
I'm a huge Joel Embiid fan. Huge Joel Embiid fan.
Why that dude is such a crybaby, yo? Oh my goodness.
Joel might have been a crybaby a couple years ago, but this past season, he don't be complaining to refs no more. He don't be complaining and the press conferences afterwards if he ain't get a call. Joel's like, hey, this loss is on me. I need to play better. Next game, he plays better. Like Joel's putting his team on his back. He's stepped up a lot and maturity. Man, Joel just he's trying to make sure that he don't man. He just don't want to be like Ben Simmons. I'm gonna tell you what it is. I want to say I want to say he had a kid. If I'm not mistaken, Joel's a dad now. And when some players become dads, they just become more mature. And I think for Joel, that's kind of sort of what happened there. He also doesn't want to. Yo, man, you he don't want to be Ben Simmons. Go ahead, I'm listening. You right about that too. And that's what I think it is. He just don't want Philly coming after him because he can't go through it. Hey man, now, you got a guy in the comments over here talking about your Orlando Magic. He must live in Orlando. He must live in Sam Bo talk. Man, stop the nonsense. Is Wendell Carter overrated? I don't know. I'm gonna pass it to Hawk. Hawk, as always, man. Good talking to you. Appreciate I'll come up with some other stuff next time. Man, get your phone fixed, man. How you gonna have Hawks hoop with a number on there that don't work, man? Listen, bro. Man, the people trying to reach Hawk, man. People trying to reach you, man. I had my wife test the phone lines. She called in. It worked just fine. 30 minutes later, the show started. And now it don't work. Your house. You should try outside of your house. As always, man, it's fun talking ball with you, man. Appreciate you. All right, later. Once again, Jason, it is always appreciated when you call in. It's always a good time to talk hoops with you. What y'all talk about in the comments? Let me see. Glad to see some educated viewers in here. You know what I mean? Bo should be traded to the Magic. You know what's crazy? All right, so I said the Pistons. I wouldn't mind seeing them on the Magic either. Once again, just put them on a team that's not doing much. All right, we got another caller calling in. Clearly, the phone line's working today. Thank you for calling Hawks Hoops. My name's Hawk. Who am I talking to?
Oh, you're talking to Triple OG.
What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for calling in.
So I just had a slight little opinion. I think that the Magic are definitely sleepers, and I feel like if they make some trades, then I think they could make the playoffs in a couple seasons.
So I don't think you're too far off with this, right? So the Magic, me and my buddy have, for the last couple of years, have always said it feels like when the Magic are home, they win games. We would just be tuning on NBA TV or a random NBA game. Oh, when the Magic are home, they look like they win games. And the last couple of years, they have been playoff teams. I think they're doing a small semi-rebuild this year, letting some young guys develop. Traded away Vucevic last year. He was an all-star caliber center that I think helped a lot of those playoff aspirations. But then when you think about the fact that you still haven't had guys like Markelle Fultz all season and Mo Bamba still out, like you guys just have a lot of injuries of like starting caliber guys. I could see you guys fighting in the play-in line of games in the next couple of years. Yeah.
I feel like they should personally trade a bunch of their players. I feel Markelle Fultz is averaging a good season. He may next season, if he keeps on improving, probably could win Most Improved Player. But I feel that they should trade away their big man, Jonathan Isaac. I know he's great, but I feel like they could get a lot out of him. Yep, I feel like they could get a ton out of him. Maybe even if they add in some other draft picks, maybe even an all-star, maybe Bradley Beal, if that were to happen.
Gotcha.
I don't think that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion.
I feel that, man. I like Jonathan Isaac. I want him to stay on the Magic just because I feel like he has an opportunity to grow there. I feel like depending on who he goes to, they might expect him to develop faster than he might, faster than he actually will. I think this Orlando Magic team's got a nice couple of young pieces that can really do something. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Franz Wagner this season. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of his career and how that develops as well.
That would be amazing. But great talking to you.
Thank you for calling in, man.
I'll try to call in some other time.
Appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks. Yeah, man. The Orlando Magic hold a soft spot in my heart, if you will. If you don't know, I'm a huge Dwight Howard fan. I used to be a huge Orlando Magic fan when he was with the Magic. Dwight's one of my favorite players of all time. So I'm always wishing the best for the Magic, you feel me? And yes, Serge, Jonathan Isaac is underrated in my opinion. I think he's a really solid, talented young center that has the opportunity to continue to grow in this league. One last thing I kind of sort of wanted to talk about before we get up out of here. I don't know if y'all have seen. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I think it was Jalen Green with the Rockets who during the end of their game was buying a grill from Johnny Dang. And I saw the video on TikTok initially. Let me see if I can find it. Nope. I can't find it right now, but I'm pretty sure it was Jalen Green. If it wasn't Jalen Green, I apologize to Jalen Green, but I'm almost certain it was him. So he was buying the grill. He was sitting on the bench at the end of the Rockets game. Almost certain it was a game they were losing. It's the Rockets. And the video was him like leaned over the back of turned around, not facing the court, leaned over the back of the bench and placing like a grill, like a teeth grill order from a famous jewelry maker. And a lot of people were like, the initial post I saw was like, yo, this isn't winning basketball. This is not how you develop winning culture. Like, this is your starting point guard, and this is what he's doing. And I commented saying like, yeah, this isn't how you build winning culture. This isn't winning culture. Tons of people were like, well, they're losing anyway. Like, how do you develop winning culture when you're losing anyway? And I just saw this opportunity to explain my thought process here, right? So developing winning culture doesn't just start when you're actually winning basketball games. You don't get winning culture out of nowhere just because you're winning basketball games. Winning culture develops from being locked in even when you're losing basketball games. Winning culture doesn't just mean you're winning games or you're title contenders. Winning culture is how your team conducts themselves, how your players hold themselves accountable on the court, off the court, in practice, out of practice, stuff like that. And not being locked in, not cheering for your teammates, not paying attention to the game, seeing maybe an opportunity to learn something yourself, considering he is a young guard, or being able to pass on some wisdom to some players who don't get that much time and seeing how they play, seeing how they fit, maybe giving them some tips and pointers. It's not winning culture. Looking over and seeing your starting point guard not even paying attention to the game is not going to instill I'm saying if you're one of his teammates, it's not going to make you want to work harder. It's not going to make you want to try harder later on down the line when you might have a game to potentially win. Your teammates aren't going to work as hard. You're not going to run as hard. You're not going to defend as hard because you're like, man, the point guard don't care. He's supposed to be the best player on our team, and he don't even care, so what do I care for? That's what I mean when I say even losing teams can develop a winning culture, or at least a good culture. Because then when you have an opportunity, when those young players get a couple of years in the league and develop their skill set, and now they're a young up-and-coming team, and they're trying to maybe make a trade for a star or sign a star in free agency, because Houston's a solid market. They could sign some all-star caliber players if their team was at that level. But Houston's a solid market that free agents would want to sign to. But a free agent might not want to sign there if you're like, yo, this team doesn't even take ball seriously. I'm not going to waste my time over there. They got a bunch of young guys who are not really locked in and not paying attention. So that's what I mean when I say you can still develop a winning culture even if your team isn't winning games. And buying grills while sitting on the bench is not winning culture by any means. Davion Mitchell is... I'm assuming you mean Rudy Gay says Davion is way better than Green. I'm assuming you're talking Davion Mitchell. I don't know. I like Jalen Green, to be honest with you. I like his game. I think Davion Mitchell is very talented. I think he's a great defender. And I think he has raw offensive talent, or I say raw offensive ability. I don't know if I'd say way better personally, but he has talent, and I do like Davion Mitchell. Off night, as they call him. Triple G says Vucevic is too soft. Vucevic, I think that's also his style of play. He doesn't have a beat him up, bang up style of play. Defensively, he's not as good as I think a lot of people would like him to be. I don't think the Bulls regret that trade, but I do think they expected him to play a little bit better than he has been playing this season so far. I think they thought they were going to get closer to the 20-point per game score of Vooch, or at least that production level. He might not get enough shots to get to that 20 points a game, but I think they were at least hoping he'd get to that production level, if that makes sense. But it's 9:05. We've been on live for about an hour and 2 minutes from what I can see on my end. Hawks Hoops live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank y'all so much for pulling up, calling in the chat, hanging out with us. If you made it this far and haven't left a like, just go ahead and click that like button. You feel me? If you made it this far, that means you're a real one, and I appreciate you. I will see you all next week. I'm going to read this last comment, and I'm out of here. Rudy Gay, the GOAT, says, Rashawn Holmes is better than Vucevic. I love Rashawn Holmes. He used to be a Sixer, but I'm going to have to disagree with you there on that, Rudy. I will catch you guys next week. So once again, appreciate y'all so much. Jason, Triple OG, thank y'all for calling in today, and we'll see you guys next week, 8 o'clock Eastern. Hawks Hoops Live Wednesdays. I'm out.